She swears she doesn't like this, but she does. All right, I'm going to say something that not everyone will agree with. Attraction is not fair, and obsession isn't about love. Women don't become obsessed with a man just because he's kind, or because he showers her with gifts. In fact, sometimes those things kill the obsession. What really makes her mind lock onto you are psychological triggers she won't admit she responds to. Scarcity, mystery, emotional imprint. These are powerful forces. Now, here's the controversial part. I believe women are more attracted to men who don't center their entire life around them. A man with purpose, with control, with calm under pressure. That's the man she can't stop thinking about. And here's the kicker. She might even tell you she doesn't like these qualities, but her behavior will show the opposite. So what do you think? Should men actually lean into these triggers? Or is it manipulative to use psychology in relationships? Drop your thoughts below. I'm ready for the debate. You know what's funny? Most men think women become obsessed because of something obvious: looks, money, status. And sure, those things might spark attraction for a while, but they almost never create obsession. Obsession runs deeper. It lives in the subconscious. It's psychological. And that's why the men who know how to use these triggers, even without being the richest, tallest, or best-looking guy in the room, end up being the ones she can't stop thinking about. Let's start with the first trigger. Trigger 1. The scarcity effect. Have you ever noticed how people want what they can't easily have? It's not just about women. It's human nature. But when it comes to relationships, scarcity is a powerful force. Here's the scenario. A man who answers her call the second her name flashes on the screen, every single time, sends a subconscious signal. He's available, predictable, always waiting. At first, that might feel good to her ego, but over time, it chips away at attraction. Why? Because if you're always there instantly, she never has to wonder. And without wonder, there's no chase. Now compare that to the man who doesn't always pick up right away. Maybe he calls back later. Maybe he's busy building something in his life. That small delay, that slight gap of availability, creates tension. It plants a question in her mind. What's he doing? Who's he with? Why isn't he available? That question is where obsession begins. Scarcity doesn't mean ignoring her or playing childish games. It means you respect your own time. You're not rushing to drop everything for her. And that subtle scarcity makes her chase harder. But here's the catch, and this is where most men ruin it. Scarcity by itself can backfire. If you're scarce but leave no emotional imprint, she won't stick around. Which brings me to the second trigger. Trigger 2, emotional imprint. This is where things get powerful. Attraction might start in the mind, but obsession is tied to emotion. It's not about what you say, but how you make her feel. Think about it. Have you ever had a song that instantly takes you back to a moment in your life? You hear the first few notes, and suddenly you remember the smell, the weather, the feeling you had. That's an emotional imprint. Now imagine being that imprint for her. If every time she thinks of you, she recalls a strong emotion, laughter, excitement, even the thrill of uncertainty, she'll relive it again and again. Here's a simple example. Two men take her on a date. One plays it safe, asks the usual small talk questions, and gives her a nice, predictable evening. The other man does something slightly different. Maybe they try a new food, get lost exploring a street, or share a moment where he listens so deeply she feels completely understood. That second man leaves an imprint. She won't just remember the date, she'll remember the feeling. And here's the kicker. Women don't become obsessed with men they like. They become obsessed with men who make them feel. But wait, there's something even stronger. You can create scarcity. You can leave an emotional imprint. But if you don't understand trigger 3, all of it falls apart. And this one is where most men fail. Trigger 3. The discovery illusion. Let me explain. Women don't want to feel like they were convinced into liking you. They want to feel like they chose you, like they discovered something about you that others can't see. That's the illusion of discovery. Think about when you find a new artist before they get popular. You feel proud. You feel like you own a piece of it that nobody else does. That's exactly how she wants to feel about you. When you reveal yourself slowly, when you hold back just enough so she gets to peel back the layers, she feels like she's uncovering hidden value. And that discovery doesn't just create attraction, it creates ownership. She thinks, I saw this in him before anyone else did. That's obsession. But here's the tragic part. Most men flip this on its head. They put everything on the table instantly. They try to prove their worth in the first conversation, the first date, the first week. They reveal everything, leaving nothing for her to discover. And in doing so, they kill the very obsession they were hoping to spark. Now let me tie this back. Scarcity makes her wonder where you are. Emotional imprint makes her feel something every time she remembers you. And discovery illusion makes her believe she uncovered something rare. When you combine all three, that's when obsession begins to grow. But I'm not done. Because there's a dark side to these triggers. A side most men don't realize they're walking into. And if you don't know how to handle it, the very thing that makes her obsessed can also make her lose respect for you. And that's exactly what we're going to break down in the next triggers. Let's turn up the intensity for a second. Because these next two triggers are not just about attraction. They're about trust, respect, and survival. They're the difference between a man she dates for a season and a man she can't stop obsessing over, no matter what. And here's the truth. If you miss these, obsession doesn't just fade, it dies instantly. Trigger 4. Calm under pressure. Picture this. Everything is falling apart. Her world feels like it's crashing down, emotions are high, and everyone around her is losing their grip. Most men, in moments like this, either panic or freeze. They either get swept into the storm, or they crumble under it. But then there's you. You stay calm. Your voice doesn't rise, your hands don't shake, your energy doesn't get pulled into chaos. You become the anchor when everything else feels unstable. That's when she realizes you're different. Because here's the thing, women don't just look for attraction. At a deeper level, they look for safety. Not just physical safety, but emotional safety. If she senses that when the pressure's on, you collapse, she'll never trust you fully. And without trust, obsession can't exist. Think about it. Would you obsess over someone who falls apart the second life gets tough? Of course not. Obsession only attaches to something strong, steady, unshakable. And here's where most men misunderstand this trigger. They think being calm under pressure means being emotionless, robotic, cold. No, that's not strength. That's avoidance. Calm under pressure means you acknowledge the storm, but you don't get swept away by it. You don't let fear dictate your actions. You show presence, grounded energy, and clarity. Now imagine how that feels for her. When everyone else panics, she looks at you and sees a man she can lean on. She thinks, if he can handle this, he can handle me. He can handle life. And that thought right there is what plants the seed of obsession. But let me raise the stakes here. If you break under pressure, if you let emotions drag you into chaos, she won't just lose attraction. She'll lose faith in you. And once that faith is gone, it's almost impossible to win back. This is why calm under pressure isn't just a trigger, it's a test. Pass it, and you become unforgettable. Fail it, and you become disposable. But calmness alone isn't enough. Because if you're too predictable, too easy to figure out, she'll admire you. But she won't obsess over you. That's where the next trigger comes in. Trigger 5. Controlled mystery. Now we enter dangerous but powerful territory, mystery. You see, men who reveal everything too soon kill the chase. They remove curiosity. And curiosity is oxygen to obsession. Here's what happens when you give her your entire story, every detail, every thought, too quickly. She processes it, she files it away, and she moves on. Nothing left to imagine. Nothing left to uncover. But when you reveal yourself slowly, piece by piece, she starts filling in the blanks on her own. Her mind races at night, replaying your words, your actions, your silence. She wonders, what else is there to him? What am I missing? That question, that itch she can't scratch, that's obsession. Controlled mystery doesn't mean being secretive or deceptive. It's not about playing games. It's about pacing. It's about letting her discover you gradually, like chapters in a book she can't put down. Think about your favorite TV series. They don't reveal everything in episode 1. They give you just enough to hook you. Then they leave unanswered questions that make you binge watch late into the night. That's how controlled mystery works in relationships. Every time you share just a little bit, but not all, you create anticipation. She feels like she's chasing, like she's earning access to new parts of you. And that chase builds investment. Here's the emotional stake. If you reveal too much, too fast, you kill curiosity. She may like you, but she won't obsess. On the flip side, if you reveal nothing, if you stay locked up like a vault, she'll walk away frustrated. Controlled mystery lives in the balance, enough to keep her hooked, but never enough for her to feel like she's finished the book. And when you master this, she doesn't just think about you during the day. She dreams about you at night. You occupy her imagination in ways she can't explain, because her mind is trying to solve a puzzle that only you control. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Because as powerful as calm under pressure and controlled mystery are, there's a trigger even stronger. One that flips everything on its head. And here's the twist. Trigger 6 is the one she'll never admit she wants. In fact, she might tell her friends, her family, even herself that she doesn't. But deep down, it's the very thing that hooks her the hardest. If you don't know this next trigger, you'll miss the moment obsession fully locks in. So stick with me, because what comes next will change the way you see every interaction from now on. Now we arrive at the turning point, the moment where obsession doesn't just spark, it explodes. These next two triggers are the ultimate twist. They go against everything most men are taught about relationships. And yet, they are the very forces that make women invest the deepest, chase the hardest, and hold on the longest. Get ready, because Trigger 6 is the paradox that flips attraction upside down. Trigger 6, subtle indifference. Here's the paradox. When you're not trying to impress her, when you could walk away at any moment without fear or hesitation, that's when she invests the most. That's the obsession switch. Most men do the opposite. They bend over backwards, trying to prove they're worthy. They send endless texts. They cancel plans for her. They showcase their best self 24/7 in hopes she'll stay. And, at first, it might get her attention. But slowly, almost invisibly, it kills her attraction. Why? Because the harder you try, the faster she pulls away. Women don't obsess over what's handed to them on a silver platter. They obsess over what they feel they might lose. And when you stop trying so hard, when you live with subtle indifference, she can't stop thinking about you. Now let's clear this up. Subtle indifference doesn't mean you don't care at all. It doesn't mean you treat her poorly, ignore her feelings, or play games. That's not strength. That's immaturity. True subtle indifference means you value yourself so highly that you don't chase validation from anyone, not even her. You have standards. You can walk away if those standards aren't met. And that quiet confidence radiates power. Think about the last time you wanted something desperately. Maybe it was a job, a promotion, or a deal. The more you chased, the more it seemed to slip away. But when you shifted your focus, when you stopped clinging to it, suddenly things started falling into place. Relationships work the same way. When a woman sees that you're not desperate for her attention, when she realizes you're not afraid of her leaving, she invests more to keep you close. That's when obsession begins to grow out of control. And here's the twist. It's not about rejection, it's about freedom. The man who is free to walk away at any moment is the one she never wants to let go of. But obsession doesn't fully lock in here. There's still one more trigger, the most powerful of all. And once you understand it, you'll see why some men can have women hooked for years, even decades, without lifting a finger. Trigger 7. Purpose-driven aura. This is the ultimate trigger. The one that separates men who are casually attractive from men who become unforgettable. Women obsess over men who are going somewhere. Men who live with purpose, who wake up every day chasing something beyond comfort, beyond pleasure, beyond her. And here's the raw truth. Your purpose must come first. Not her, not the relationship, not even love. Because when you're anchored in purpose, everything else falls into place. A man without purpose is like a ship without a compass. He drifts. He clings to her for meaning, for direction, for identity. And while she might stay for a while, she won't obsess. She'll eventually drift too, because deep down, she wants to be part of something greater than herself. But when she meets a man who's driven, focused, and passionate about his mission, everything changes. She doesn't just like him, she admires him. She doesn't just want him, she respects him. And respect, when combined with attraction, creates obsession. Here's the beautiful part. Purpose-driven men don't beg for loyalty, they inspire it. She doesn't want to be your mission. She wants to be part of your mission. She wants to stand beside you, to feel like she's contributing to something bigger, to feel like she discovered a man other women overlooked. And remember trigger 3, the discovery illusion? This is where it comes full circle. Purpose makes that illusion real. Because when you live with purpose, you don't need to broadcast it, you don't need to prove it. She sees it in your actions, in your discipline, in the way you move. She feels like she uncovered a rare man in a world full of average ones. And that's when obsession cements itself. She doesn't just want you, she fears losing you. So let's bring it all together. Subtle indifference flips the script, showing her you're not afraid to walk away. Purpose-driven aura anchors her obsession, making her feel like she's attached herself to something rare, something bigger than both of you. Put those together, and she won't just be attracted. She won't just be interested. She'll be obsessed. And here's the triumph. Obsession isn't about manipulation. It's about becoming the kind of man who doesn't need to chase. The man who stands so firmly in his own power that others are drawn to him naturally. When you live with subtle indifference and purpose, you don't just win her attention, you win her respect. And respect is the foundation of obsession. But hold on. Because while these triggers can lock an obsession, there's a dangerous side to them too. If you misuse them, if you lean too far into one without balance, they can backfire. And here's the chilling truth. The very thing that makes her obsessed can also make her leave you for another man who displays it better. That's why in the next section, we're going to break down the hidden dangers behind these triggers and how to use them with wisdom, not recklessness. Because obsession isn't the end game, it's only the beginning. So now you've seen it, 7 psychological triggers that quietly make women obsessed with you. And if you're honest, a few of them probably flip the light bulb in your head. Here's the truth. Most men chase, over-explain, and bend themselves into knots trying to win her attention. But what actually pulls her closer is the exact opposite. Think about it, subtle indifference, a sense of purpose, mystery, confidence. These aren't tricks. They're signals. And women are hardwired to respond. But here's the twist. Just knowing these triggers isn't enough. The real power is in how you use them. You can't fake indifference if you're secretly desperate. You can't project purpose if you're living on autopilot. That's why some men hear advice like this and end up looking manipulative, while others transform into the kind of man women can't stop thinking about. So let me ask you, are you going to keep doing what every other guy is doing? Or are you going to apply this, live it, and let her discover you? Because when you do, something wild happens. She doesn't just like you. She invests in you. She feels like she stumbled upon a rare man who doesn't beg for her attention, who doesn't collapse under pressure, and who doesn't need her to validate him. And that's when obsession kicks in. Now here's where it gets interesting. You've learned how attraction starts. But what about what happens after she's hooked? Most men lose women not because they couldn't attract them, but because they couldn't keep the connection alive. And that's exactly what I'm breaking down in my next video. How to keep her emotionally addicted once she's already invested. This is the part no one talks about. And if you miss it, everything you just built can fall apart. So if you got value from this, smash the like button, drop a comment about which trigger hit you the hardest, and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss what's coming. Because remember, attraction gets her attention. But connection? That's what makes her stay.